What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Victory Thursday, Brewers fans. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also streaming up online at sportstalk1051.com. Video streams are also up and rolling on Facebook and YouTube here this morning. Download the app, take it on the go. Smart speakers, smart devices, all over the place. Happy Victory Thursday, Brew Crew fans. Hopefully you all stayed up and watched the entire game, listened to the entire game, whatever the case may be. But the Brewers making that comeback win, come from behind victory to pull off a 5-3 win to force a do or die. It is a do or die Thursday, win or go home Thursday, the only wild card series to go the full 3 games. After the Tigers got their win, they move on. Yesterday, Padres moving on. Last night, the Royals taking down Baltimore, so they move on. This is the last one in the wild card series. Jackson Chourio, man, what else can we say about this youngster? I mean, the dude keeps doing stuff that is just like, what? Wow. Um, if you have social media, if you've got like Twitter or whatever, you probably saw a bunch of different numbers and statistics, fun nuggets, fun facts to come out about Jackson Chourio after that game last night. I mean, first of all, one nugget about Jackson Chourio: when you're in the company of this guy, you're pretty good. But Chourio with 2 home runs last night, one in the bottom of the first to tie it up after the Brewers allowed 1 run in the top of the first. So he ties it up, lead off, home run, boom, ties it up there, bottom of the first. Then he ties it up again in the 8th with a solo shot. And he became the second player in Major League Baseball history to hit 2 game tying home runs in the same postseason game. You want to know who the other person was? Babe freaking Ruth. That's it. Jackson Chourio, Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth did it in Game 4 of the 1928 World Series. How about this? Chourio joins Evan Longoria, who first achieved this 16 years ago. In this, again, bunch of other nuggets here, but Chourio is just the second rookie ever to hit multiple game-tying and or go-ahead home runs in a postseason game, joining Evan Longoria. Is the second youngest player in MLB history with a postseason multi-homer game, Andrew Jones. I mean, you could go through the list, and we're probably missing a bunch of other things there. But Jackson Chourio, 2 home runs last night, and then Garrett Mitchell comes up to the plate. First of all, shout out to Willie Adames for getting on base with 2 outs and getting the base hit there. But then Garrett Mitchell strolls up to the plate, hits the go-ahead 2-run shot in the bottom of the 8th. Everybody's going nuts, and then Devin Williams comes in, Mr. Airbender himself, shuts it down for the save, and we've got a Game 3 do or die, win or go home tonight in Milwaukee. Tobias Myers is going to be on the mound for the crew, and of course, who's on the mound for the Mets but the guy that seems like every team tries to make sure they throw out there to start against the Brewers, Jose Quintana, who actually just faced the Brewers on the 28th and got charged with a loss after going 4 1/3 and 2 earned runs, but did strike out 9 in that game. So, boy, we'll preview this game coming up tonight. First pitch, by the way, in case you didn't hear it, since it's the only game today, first pitch is going to be around 6:08 tonight. If the Braves would have won last night and they would have had to play Game 3, then you would have had an afternoon game. But since it's the only game tonight, you're looking at a 6:08, around a 6:08 first pitch time for the Brewers. So, your thoughts, your reaction? Are you still pumped up from last night? I didn't get a lot of sleep because how do you go to sleep after a game like that? I mean, your adrenaline's just rolling, man. It's freaking awesome. I love it. Can't wait for tonight's high drama at stake here. Gosh, I love sports when it's stuff like that. But I hate it when it's, if you're on the losing end of that too. So, but hey, we'll talk some Brewers, talk some recap last night's come from behind victory, and then look ahead to tonight's game, Game 3. Tobias, the rookie, getting the start. Any concern about Tobias going out there, knowing he's a rookie in a high leverage situation? How much trust do you have in Pat Murphy, maybe pushing the right buttons when it comes to the pitching staff tonight? Frankie Montas wasn't out there too long last night. They really went with a lot of bullpen arms there to get through it, but I don't think anybody was necessarily overworked by any stretch last night. I mean, when you kind of look at it, Frankie just pitching a couple innings, just 3 2/3, didn't quite get to 4. Trevor McGill comes in for an inning and a third. Yoel Payamps comes in for an inning. Kenny comes in for a couple outs. Joe Ross comes in for an inning and a third, and then Devin Williams. So would think mostly everybody's still available, and maybe it's all hands on deck for tonight's game. So plenty of baseball talk throughout this morning. We will throw a little green and gold chats in here too. Packers did return to practice yesterday. Jordan Love saying that he's back to getting all the first team reps over there. So no, that I guess that's trending good. He did say he came out of the game fine. He likes where his knee is at right now. Matt LaFleur did indicate yesterday that Christian Watson will not go on IR. Quote, I think we got lucky. We dodged a real bullet there. Still waiting for more info to see if Devontae Wyatt will be as fortunate. Jair did not practice, though. Watson obviously did not practice. Elton Jenkins did not practice, although he said afterwards he's fine. Devontae Wyatt, Luke Musgrave, and Kenny Clark didn't practice. So today, Wednesday, especially when it comes to veterans, wouldn't read too much into like the Kenny Clark one, the Elton Jenkins one on a Wednesday. Let's see what today and tomorrow brings when it comes to practice reports and such. So, but I want to talk a little Jayden Reed today, just to kind of give you a little bit of I guess background to see how well and how kind of like wow, dang, maybe like holy moly, Jayden Reed's actually doing that so far this year. So we're gonna throw a little Jayden Reed talk in here and start to kind of take a look a little bit at Packers versus Rams coming up on Sunday. It is a throwback Thursday, so we'll get to that. Receiver defer. I'm Ryan Solo here today. So if you have any good receiver defers, hit me up. I'd love to hear them. Okay, give me some thoughts. Text me 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line this morning. No outdoor tidbits. Mr. Jake unable to hop on today. Duty calls. So no outdoor tidbits today. But I know we got the youth hunts coming up this weekend. So any of the youngsters out there, best of luck. Be safe. All right. Make sure you snap some photos and you upload those to our websites and such. So, but yeah, best of luck and be safe out there too. Even if you're not going for the youth hunt, gotta wear the orange on the top there. So, excited to see if we get any picks over there. Let's get things rolling here this morning, though, shall we? I know you want to get right to it. Brewers fans, last night, are you still kind of riding that high right now? Still feeling it? I got to get the caffeine still flowing here this morning. But what a win last night. Come from behind victory for the Brewers. I'll admit it. I mean, after the first, when they're already down in a 1-0 hole, I'm like, oh, crap. And then Cheerio ties it. I'm like, okay. Back to square one, 0-0 essentially. Then it's like 3. I was really, really dreading when Frankie Montas dropped that ball to cover first base, I'm like, oh no. And then Mets capitalized on it again. Should have been an easy out. They capitalized on the mistakes. They are able to put up 3 runs, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh no, are we going to have to talk about pitchers and fielding and mistakes on Thursday, kind of wrapping up the season and talking about some of the mistakes out there. And the thing is like they did PFPs. They worked on PFPs this week. Pitchers fielding practice, if you don't know what PFPs are. I'm just sitting there, I'm like, oh no, it's not gonna go this way. It's not. And then Jackson Chourio and Garrett Mitchell, the youngsters leading the way for this team. How about that? Young guns. Love it. Absolutely love it. So let's get right to it. I want to hear from you, Brewers fans. Hit me up with those texts, okay? Or hit me up on the video streams, or hit me up on the social medias, whatever. All right. We got a do or die tonight. Do or die Thursday. It's like game 7. It's like game 7. Okay. Nothing better in sports than a game 7. Well, this is a game 7 tonight. There is no tomorrow, as Apollo Creed. Well, there could be a tomorrow, I guess, for the team that wins and moves on. But you get the gist. So let's get it. We'll take our first break and then really dive into this thing. Brewers with the come from behind victory last night. Cheerio, cheerio, cheerio. What else can we say about Jackson that keeps just adding on to his very young but deep and impressive resume so far? You may think it's impossible to save some money with your grocery bill and at the gas pump all at the same time, but I'm here to tell you with Hy-Vee, it's not. Take advantage of the great deals and savings at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire while also earning money at the gas pump with Hy-Vee perks. And don't forget, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire is your tailgating headquarters. Whether you're looking for food, beverages, or apparel to represent your favorite team, including your high school, Hy-Vee, Hy-Vee, where did I go? Got that was weird. You guys, okay? I lost the audio in the studio here, so it kind of flipped me up here. But Hy-Vee in Eau Claire is your tailgating headquarters. Whether you're looking for food, beverages, or apparel to represent your favorite team, including your high school, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire has you covered. Tailgates with Hy-Vee, especially for the game tonight. All right, let's get things rolling here this morning. Talking about the Brewers win last night. Sure, you all watched or listened to it. Don't need the full-on breakdown there, but Frankie Montas getting the starts. I'm sure I wasn't the only one seeing the dropped ball at first base when he went over there to cover it. It was like the second day in a row that a pitcher having issues covering first. The Mets took advantage of it, putting up 2 runs in the top of the second there because of that. But after that, Brewers held it down. They held it down after that. Got a little tricky at times. I mean, the Pine-Ups did issue a couple walks along with his hits. But the Brewers, with some nice defensive play, Joey Ortiz, Willy Adames. I know he got aided a little bit with Pete Alonso tripping over his bat in that one at-bat there. But nonetheless, the Brewers shutting it down in terms of allowing any runs after the second inning. And thanks to that 8th inning with the youngsters of Jackson Chourio and Garrett Mitchell hitting some dingers, Brewers able to pull it off. I want to, he's obviously not talked about because he didn't hit any home runs or anything like that. But in the last couple games, let's give Bryce Terang a nice tip of the cap here too. Game 1 he had 3 hits. Yesterday he had a hit too. I mean, he's playing pretty darn well. And you look at it, it's the youngsters so far in these first 2 games that have really, pun intended, stepped up to the plate for this, for this ball club. Between Contreras, Terang, and Garrett Mitchell. And Sal Frelick's been pretty solid too. So the young guys getting it done. But man, what a gritty type of performance last night for the Brewers to force this do or die situation. A game 3, essentially it's a game 7, and it's a rematch between some pitchers who pitched on the 28th. Tobias Myers pitched against the Mets back on the 28th. Got credited with the win. He went 4 innings, giving up just 1 hit, no walks, 5 strikeouts in that performance. So Tobias Myers is pretty good. In fact, in his last 3 games, Tobias Myers has only pitched 4 innings in his last 3 games each. So 3 games of just 12 innings total over there. So I think he's pretty darn fresh, but he's coming off of a nice performance there. And then Quintana, who, I mean, feels like if you got to throw out a starter to go up against the Brewers, he's usually the guy that gets called. He also pitched on the 28th. He got charged with a loss. He went 4 1/3, gave up 2 earned runs, but he did strike out 9 in that contest. So if you go back, the other performance he had against Milwaukee was opening day back on March 29th. He pitched 4 2/3, gave up 2 earned runs, a home run over there, did get charged with the loss there too. But we know the history of Jose Quintana. Whether I don't think it's to that level that it used to be, right? When he was like with the Cubs, essentially, that was kind of always the thing. I was like, oh, Brewers Cubs. If it's a big series or it's a game, they're going to set it up for Jose to get the start for the Brewers. I think that's kind of died down here, but it's kind of a little bit of a running joke here. But you look at Jose and what he has done in the month of September. The guy has been really, really good. 3-1 with a .72 ERA in 4 games in the month of September. So, got to imagine the Mets are feeling pretty darn confident with him. You take away that Brewers game, he hasn't allowed a single run in the month of September. 6 2/3, 7, in that 4 1/3 outing against the Brewers there. But September, he has been pretty darn good, and it was a nice bounce back because August, if we're just kind of going back, dude struggled in 6 games with a 5.63 ERA. Kind of really when you look at his season, now overall his season, he was 10-10 with a 3.75 ERA. And if you break it down by month for Jose, that kind of fits. If you break it down month, it fits that overall record because he's kind of been up and down. You go to April, 3.41 ERA in 5 games, 1-1. It's okay, solid, right? May, awful, 7.20 ERA. June bounces back, 5 games, 2-0, 3.38 ERA. July, 2.05 ERA, as we mentioned. August, 5.63 ERA. And then September, that .72 ERA. So it's kind of like an EKG, a little up and down sort of thing there. So which version are we going to get tonight? It's a new month, right? Which version of Jose are we going to get tonight? Got to imagine the Mets are going to feel confident, though, considering what they saw from him in the month of September. Brewers probably feeling the same way, though, too, because Tobias Myers, we know Tobias Myers has been one of the best pitchers in the second half of the season. Even for a rookie, he's been pretty impressive. And in September, he pitched in 6 total games, started 5 of those. In fact, he actually didn't start the game, officially didn't start the game on the 28th against the Mets. But he pitched in 6 games, was 3-1 with a 3.03 ERA. The Arizona game is the one on there, even though he got credited with the win. He gave up 4 earned runs in that contest. But again, you break it down by month. We know the month of June that Tobias had 4-0 with a 1.44 ERA. July 1-2 with a 2.70 ERA. August 5 games 0-1 but a 2.67 ERA. September that 3.03 ERA. So I got to imagine Brewers, you're feeling confident with Tobias up there. I think the biggest thing now is you got a veteran with Jose, right? Got a veteran with Jose who he has pitched in 5 career games in the postseason. He has started 4 games in the postseason. He is 0-1 with a 3.86 ERA. So you got a little experience there. Tobias, nada. So you got a do or die, win or go home situation for a young young starting pitcher. Got to imagine there's probably going to be some butterflies, going to be a little bit of nerves. How does he handle? I think the big thing for Tobias, first of all, get through the first inning, looking pretty good, building that confidence, right? If you can get through that first inning unscathed, build that confidence up there. If you get in some tough situations, you get in some tight situations, how does he handle that? I'll be curious to see how short of a leash some of these starters or some of these pitchers for the Brewers are going to have tonight with Pat Murphy. If there's any sort of sign of trouble, does he just go straight to the bullpen? How many guys are going to be available? Is it all hands on deck? Would that include a guy like Freddie Peralta who, pitched 4 innings the other day? Is it going to be all hands on deck with this elimination game and everybody's available coming out of the pen? So to me, that's going to be something to kind of watch tonight is what's the leash on Tobias Myers, or what's Pat Murphy thinking and how he's going to handle the pitching, because he's already shown in the first 2 games if he feels like he has to go that bullpen, he's going to go that bullpen. And it really seems like too the The mindset has been not letting the Mets lineup see a pitcher a third time through. That's kind of been the mindset so far. Doesn't want this lineup to see their starter go, a third time through the rotation there. So you kind of factor that in here too. Tobias might only be out there for 2 times through the lineup at most. Then you go straight to the bullpen. And then you play a bullpen game after that. I don't mind that strategy. It'll be interesting though to see. Let's just assume that Tobias is wheeling and dealing. Okay, pitch count isn't high. And he's just kind of dominating. And then you get to that third time through the rotation. Then what do you do? What do you do? Put yourself in the shoes of Pat Murphy, Brewers fans, okay? I'm genuinely curious to hear from you. Knowing that the first 2 games have kind of been with the mindset of like, we're not going to have our pitcher see a batter for the third time. You got a game 3 tonight. What if Tobias is wheeling and dealing? Okay, he's wheeling and dealing. Do you keep him in there to face batters for a third time? Say it's a tight game too. Okay, you don't have the luxury of maybe being up 5-6 runs, whatever. But say it's a really tight game. Say it's tied or it's a 1-run game. But Tobias is pitching really well. Do you keep the rookie? That's the other part in there. The rookie in there, or do you go straight to the bullpen? How would you manage this? Okay, put yourself in Pat Murphy's shoes. Brewers fans, how do you manage it? I'm going to put you on the spot because it's easy for us. We do it. We get to do it every morning. We get to do the good old hindsight 2020 second guess picks or praise decisions and such. But put yourself in that shoes tonight. How are you managing this pitching matchup, your pitchers, your bullpen with a win or go home situation tonight? All right, I'll give you a little bit to hit me up with your text or your comments over there. But back to Jackson Chourio. We've already gone through some of his numbers. And again, just to reiterate how well Jackson Chourio and I mean just continues to etch his name into history. Second player in MLB history to hit 2 game-tying homers in a postseason game. Babe Ruth was the other one, Game 4 of the 28 World Series. He is the second rookie ever to hit multiple game-tying and or go-ahead home runs in a postseason game, joining Evan Longoria, who did it 16 years ago. According to MLB stats, Jackson Chourio is the second youngest player in Major League Baseball history with a postseason multi-homer game. Andrew Jones was 19 years, 180 days old when he hit 2 home runs in Game 1 of the 96 World Series. I feel like we say this every week, but what else can we say about Jackson Chourio that already hasn't been said at this point? Like literally, what else can we say about this kid that hasn't been said? And I feel like whatever we say is still not enough. It's not enough to describe what we're kind of seeing here. I mean, he continues to set the bar so incredibly high. Like what we're seeing him do this year as a 20-year-old. I almost kind of feel a little nervous for him because we're going to have that super high expectation for the rest of his career. And when you look at Garrett Mitchell going up there with his home run, we talked about Bryce Terang. I think is having an underrated postseason series so far. It's the youngsters. It's the youngsters lean this way, and I don't know if it's that whole, well, they're too young to realize what's going on. You know what I mean? Like we say that sometimes. What we said about the Packers last year, a little too young to maybe realize what's going on, sort of thing. I don't know, but I don't know why. What's the reason or anything like that? But I don't care because they're just freaking winning the games. And man, last night was just so odd, and it fit kind of the Brewers' mindset mantra this whole season, didn't it? A gritty performance, a come from behind victory, and now you're set up for a win or go home situation. Is it going to be the quote unquote baby Brewers that can pull it off tonight, or a Mets team that got in on game 161, has a little bit more veterans across the board, two teams that weren't expected to do a whole lot this year, right? Mets started off pretty darn slow, but this was a year too of they shelled off a lot, moved a lot of money from last year's deals. David Stearns, kind of maybe eyeing the future here a little bit. There was Pete Alonso trade rumors at the trade deadline. Lindor, if it's not for Ohtani, Lindor probably would be the NL MVP. And then you got this Brewers team that led by a couple of, led by some youngsters, but then you sprinkle in a Willy Adames and a Contreras and such. Two teams that built the same in a lot of ways, and it makes sense because David Stearns is over there with the Mets. And two teams that kind of had the same expectations from all the national pundits and all the sports people out there. And here we go. It's almost fitting. It's almost poetic that both these teams are facing each other in an elimination game to move on to the next round in the postseason. This is why we love sports, man. This is why we love it. I can't wait for tonight. I'm gonna be a nervous Nelly. I'm gonna be biting my fingernails and I don't know. It's gonna be fun, but golly, I hope we can talk about winning. And I believe our good buddy Brandon's actually gonna go down in the game tonight. I was texting him last night. So, all right, Brewers fans, I threw out that question to you. Okay, put yourself. There's really right now. There's probably no right or wrong answer in this, but pretend you're Pat Murphy. Pretend you're Pat Murphy. And I know it's kind of with the flow. You kind of got to go with the game here, but just for argument's sake here, how would you handle the pitching tonight? Let's say Tobias is wheeling and dealing, and he's looking pretty good. He's looking pretty dominant. But it's a tight game. I'm giving you the scenario. It's a tight game. Do you keep him in there for that third time through the rotation when it seems like that's kind of been the mindset so far in this series? To not allow your pitcher to see, or not allow the lineup to see the pitcher a third time. Do you follow that same mindset if Tobias is wheeling and dealing up there and it's a tight game? Or do you keep him in there because he's wheeling and dealing? But you're throwing out a rookie in this situation in a tight game and having that lineup see him for a third time. How do you handle tonight's pitching? How do you go about it? Let's see where you're at. We'll take a quick break and we'll finish up the first hour here. Want to hear from you, Brewers fans, though, okay? Keep hitting us up with those texts. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Calendar is quickly flipping its pages. Days are flying by. I mean, for crying out loud, we're already in the beginning of October here. And before you know it, holidays will be here. Now, you're probably thinking, dude, it's way too early for me to start thinking about maybe some Christmas meals or Thanksgiving dinner and such, and what gifts to buy. It's not where I'm really going with this. I'm thinking about when you have all those family members and friends visiting your home, or even maybe spending a few days with you. You want to make an impression on them. Okay, you want to make that good impression on them. You want to do a little humble brag out there, right? So why not make that lasting impression by updating the floors in your home? There's just something about a new carpet or new vinyl planks that make a home stand out from the rest. And chances are there's probably a space in your home right now where, let's face it, it's been forever or maybe never even where the floor has been replaced. You got some old school shag carpet in there, dude, try to get that replaced, okay? So what's step one? Easy. Visit Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. I've personally used Carpet City Flooring Center for projects in my home numerous times, and each time they've made the process super simple, from helping selecting the floor that would look the best and function the best to the floor that fits in my budget. Plus, their install teams are awesome, awesome people to work with too. And they can do the same for you because that's the type of team they have at Carpet City Flooring Center. So give them a visit today, 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire. G-Man. G-Man saying, DK, way to go, Brewers now. Tobias Myers is going to pitch lights out tonight. And the crew going to the next round. This is the Brewers year this year. Brewers fans, just watch the crew win tonight, 6-2. G-Man, you going out for a victory taco omelet from our good friends at the VFW Post? Or are you going to wait till wait to do that after tonight's victory and do that tomorrow morning over there? Yeah, maybe a good time tomorrow too for VFW Post 305 Friday fish fry over there too. Yes, G-Man's listening. He said yes tomorrow. By the way, speaking of our good friends VFW Post 305, one of the best Wisconsin traditions we have is the Friday fish fry, and we're always on the quest to find our favorite or go-to Friday fish fry. Look no further, Chippewa Valley, because your go-to Friday fish fry is at the VFW Post 305. In fact, your new breakfast go-to spot. Try those taco omelets is at the VFW Post 305. So your new go-to hangout spot, your favorite spot, is the VFW Post 305, located at 1300 Star Avenue in Eau Claire. C-Bomb, or first of all, before C-Bomb, Jeremy, a little bit earlier, because both C-Bomb and Jeremy kind of said the same things here. Jeremy saying that contract for Cheerio is looking like a steal. Might be underpaid. And then C-Bomb, texted a little bit ago too, says, remember the controversy around Cheerios contract before ever seeing a pitch. Looks like the Brewers got more than a steal. Highway robbery of a 20-year-old. I can't, and maybe some listeners who are older than me, but I can't remember in terms of our teams, Wisconsin teams and such, another player like this with how young they were coming in and with the high expectations and in their first year living up to it. It wasn't Giannis. I mean, we didn't know who the heck Giannis was, and we didn't hear a whole lot. And if you thought Giannis was going to be the way he is right now, you're lying to yourself. Or you're the world's greatest scout and you should be working for an NBA team. I know he was a first round pick, but there wasn't that type of talk right away with Giannis. Rodgers, no. Jordan Love, no. Favre, no. So, I mean, you look at what Cheerio, he had we were talking about this kid in Double A. In fact, there was, I don't know, I'll have to find it during the break. But I mean, a year ago today, we were talking about like his season in like Double A and getting a couple or a few games in Triple A like a year ago. But that hype was already surrounding him. That talk was already coming through. I mean, even on Brewers.com, I think it was, or somebody I think it was like Kurt Hogg or Todd Rosiak or one of the Brewers beat writers last year were like tweeting out a video every time Cheerio hit a home run in the minor leagues. I mean, it felt like Cheerio was on the team for how many years before he actually made his debut, for crying out loud. and before even making his major league debut, signs a long-term deal, 10 years, 80 some $1 million, but with potential to earn more, incentives and all that sort of stuff. And you're right, C-Bomb, because there was like, oh, okay, guy hasn't, we haven't seen him in the major leagues yet. It's kind of maybe a little bit of risk there. But then on the other hand, it's like, given the current state of baseball, you kind of, for a team like the Brewers, you got to make those type of risks if you want to be competitive and such. Didn't really know what to expect from Chiriot this year. Even in spring training, there was some talk like, okay, will he maybe start at AAA? Because there wasn't that guarantee that he was going to be on the opening day roster, even with that contract. That's what the Brewers kept saying. Wasn't a guarantee, but he was. And you look at what he's doing right now. There was a lot of talk heading into the postseason too. A lot of people were like, God, we excited to see what Chiriot could do in the postseason. How does the kid go out there and perform under the national spotlight now? Under the main spotlight. And the kid has been, no pun intended, knocking it out of the park. And gosh, this kid, I'll tell you right now, I'm so glad Matt Arnold decided to lock this kid up for double-digit years. Because here's the thing too, it's like, what have we kind of joked about a little bit was like, yeah, Pittsburgh, enjoy Paul Skeens because you're not going to have him for too long. They're probably going to get rid of him after a couple years because they're not going to be able to afford him. We don't really have to worry about that with Jackson right now because we know it. He's going to be under contract for how long? A special talent, a special dude. The arrow is trending so far up. I mean, it's like pointing straight up to what this kid can be able to do throughout his whole, for the rest of his career. And I love his personality. I love the mindset that he goes out there. I mean, everything you hear from his teammates, from his managers, from his coaches, it's nothing but positive. You don't sense this, like superstar ego. And some players have that. It's fine. If you keep performing and you keep, winning and you have any whatever. But for this 20-year-old to have that huge contract to come in, and I think he's not going to win National Rookie of the Year. I wish he would. I don't think I think Jackson's going to win it. Jackson Merrill, or maybe Paul Skeens can get it. I think those are going to be your top two. But for me, if I was a voter, first of all, I'd be a homer. I'll admit it. I'd be a homer and vote Jackson Chiriot. I mean, it is what it is. But at least for me, part of me, when I would be looking at that, I'd be looking at the fact that the added pressure he had coming into this season, signing that contract, signing that deal, getting that influx of cash right now, without ever playing an inning at the major league level, to hit, for me, supersede, I mean, just by far pass all expectations I had for him this year. But to already have that pressure on him to begin his season, that he has this big contract already without ever playing in the major leagues, and then putting up the numbers that he has done this year, that to me should factor into voting. Maybe it does for some of those voters. I don't know. But for me personally, I would factor that in there because you're talking about a kid. I mean, remember yourselves at 20. Maybe some of you were more mature at 20. I wasn't mature at 20. I was a college kid, living it up a kind of a prototypical college life, right? I mean, couldn't even go out to Water Street and that, and go to house parties and all that. No way could for me as a 20-year-old. First of all, I don't even have any talent, but just to put yourself in that situation of playing Major League Baseball and you have all that pressure, all the eyes, and that big deal. It's like, oh, I gotta live up. It's amazing. It's so cool to see, and this would be cool. Obviously, we're paying more attention to it because it's our team. It's the Brewers. We're more focused on it. We see it every day, almost every day. We talk about it. But really, it'd be cool if it was on another team. We'd probably hate it if it was the Cubs. It's like, oh crap, the Cubs got somebody good, or the Cardinals, or whatever. But if you look at it just from a sports perspective, to see what this kid is doing, it's pretty special and it's pretty awesome. And it's another dang reason in the list of of the book of why I love sports is stories like this. Is to see stories like this, to see players like this doing what they're doing. So, gosh, I like it. It's awesome. So, all right, we'll get back to some more of your text coming up here in just a little bit. Hit me up with a text. I'm curious to get your thoughts on if you're Pat Murphy, how do you handle the pitching tonight? Because it sure seems like in the first two games, the mindset has been we're not going to let our starter go through the lineup a third time. Let's say it's a tight game, but Tobias is wheeling and dealing tonight. Do you keep him in there to face that lineup a third time? Or do you take him out? Factor in he's a rookie and all that sort of stuff. How would you handle it tonight? Let me know. We got some news updates. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Second hour kicking off right now on this Thursday morning of August 3rd. It is a do or die, win or go home Thursday morning coming at you. Brewers picking up that win, come from behind win last night, forcing a game 3 tonight. You've got you could listen to that game right here on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Coverage will begin at about 5:30. 5:30 today. Pregame coverage will begin. First pitch around 6:08. If the Padres would have lost, if the Braves would have won yesterday, then Brewer game would have been this afternoon. But it's the only game on the docket for tonight. Keep your comments coming, Brewers fans. We will. I'll get back to some more coming up here in just a little bit. We'll touch on a little green and gold. Packers returning to practice yesterday. What did that injury report look like? Who practiced? Who didn't practice? All that good stuff. We'll get to that here as well. Receiver defer. Ryan Solo here. So give me some receiver defer questions. We'll get to those at about 7:45. Hit me up with a text with your receiver defer questions. No outdoor tidbits. No Jake today. Duty calls for Jake. So he's busy this morning. So we will hopefully catch up with him next week. But I know we got the youth hunts going on this weekend. So all you youngsters out there, best of luck. Be safe. Make some memories out there, okay? Make some memories and make sure if you do have any luck, you send us those photos so we can put them up on the Tilden Gun trophy board photo gallery on our website, right? Check them all out by visiting sportstalk1051.com and clicking on the outdoors tab. And with the youth hunts coming up this weekend too, maybe it's a good reminder that if you're not ready for the deer gun season next month, you should go visit our good friends at Tilden Gun. All right. Do you need a new deer rifle, or maybe you're looking for you or someone's first deer rifle, or you just want a new one because if you answered yes to all that, go give Sean and Hunter at Tilden Gun a visit. The biggest and best variety and the best prices in the Chippewa Valley. Tilden Gun will help you find the deer rifle you're looking for to help you succeed in the outdoors. You got a specific model and brand in mind? Well, the awesome customer service you get at Tilden Gun, they will help you find just what you're looking for. They're not going to be a pushy salesperson and try to convince you to buy something you don't want. But if you're looking for advice or help, they're right there to lend that hand. So stop by their shop at 12427 90th Avenue, Chippewa Falls, or visit their website at tildengun.com. And again, best of luck, be safe, and have fun in the great outdoors. It is Thursday, so let's do a little throwback Thursday. Here. Got a couple of big ones here. Let's start off with 1951. CBS TV aired the first coast-to-coast telecast of a prize fight. Dave Sands defeated Carl Olson at Soldier Field in Chicago. 1974, Frank Robinson took over the management position of the Cleveland Indians baseball team. He was the first African-American manager in Major League Baseball. And then 15 years later, 1989, Art Shell became the first African-American head coach in the modern NFL when he took over for the Raiders. Barry Bonds in 2001 broke Babe Ruth's major league single season record for walks at 171. In 2012, Miguel Cabrera achieved baseball's first Triple Crown since 1967. That was in 2012, man. Is that long ago? He led the league with a 330 average, 44 home runs, and 139 RBIs. Also, 295. That's when the O.J. Simpson trial came to a close. I still remember that. I was in fourth grade, and I remember sitting at lunch, and I think it was our principal came around and told us. And then I remember going back into the classroom. My teacher wrote it up on the board. Fourth grade. Elementary kids, we were following along with that. Man, 95. How many years ago was that? Almost 29? Is it 29? Yeah, 29, I think. Wow. Those are just some of your throwback Thursdays. Hey, if you head to, again, our website, sportstalk1051.com, and you click on the Fan Cave tab, we got a section there called shoutouts. So, are you a diehard sports fan, or you know someone who's the biggest sports fan? Or do you know a youth athlete, coach, official that volunteers their times for the love of the game? Or maybe you're a weekend warrior, or you know someone who's a weekend warrior. Or if you've got a suggestion for a Throwback Thursday team or player from the past that deserves a Throwback Thursday shout out, email it to me. All right. Email it to me. We'll give them those proper shout outs on the program here. So it's called our shout out section, whether it's a shout out to a dedicated fan, a youth player, volunteer coach, official, weekend warrior, or somebody or a team from back in the day that deserves a little Throwback Thursday shout out. We want to do that and give them the proper credit over there. So again, email it to us. That link is up on our website, sportstalk1051.com, and click on the 715 Fan Cave tab. Absolutely, Clay. Absolutely. Heck yeah. Let's catch up on a couple of texts here. Bees mom, Brand's mom here. Good morning. Still out in New Jersey, Mom. Good morning. New from New Jersey. Great win last night. Watching with our Phillies fans heading home today for Game 3 tonight. Let's go Brewers. Timmy G also saying, and we haven't even talked about Jackson's glove yet. He's gotten better, right? I feel like he's gotten better in the outfield. I know beginning of the year, he, a lot of the talk was he plays really deep in there. Just one of his issues in the outfield is kind of going back towards the wall and such. But I feel like he's gotten a little bit better at that. I know he had the error in game 1 and such, but I feel like he's getting better, more comfortable out there. C-Bomb a little bit earlier, the question I threw out there about the pitching situation. Tight game, like 1-0 or 1-1. If he's dealing, let him ride. If it's 4-3, pull out a short hook the third time around, like one guy gets on, yank him. All right. So I know we got a couple more here. I'll get to those coming up here in just a little bit. But again, reminder, Tobias Myers is going to be on the mound here for the Crew tonight. Kind of taking a look back at Tobias Myers. It's all about what have you done for me lately here, right? Well, in the month of September, he has appeared in 6 games. He has started 5 of those 6. The one that he's not credited with the start was actually his latest performance, and it was against the Mets on the 28th. But he went 4 innings, giving up just 1 hit, striking out 5, no earned runs. In the month of September, 6 games, 3-1 with a 3.03 ERA. Tobias Myers. I mean, this is what you dream of as a kid, right? This is same as last night with Garrett Mitchell and Jackson Chourio. You dream of those moments when you're in the backyard or you're in the sandlot or you're playing at recess. Those are the moments. Those are the freaking moments that you dream about. And to be able to do that, that's got to be one of the coolest things in the world to experience that. Like what Garrett Mitchell did last night, that has got to be one of the coolest feelings in your life. Tie game, bottom of the 8th, 2 out, runner on, and you jack a home run in your home crowd in a postseason game. That has got to be one of the coolest feelings in the world. Or like Jackson Chourio too. Bottom of the 8th, you're down 1, postseason game. You got to win to keep your season alive. And you tie it up with a home run. And Tobias Myers is going to have an opportunity tonight to do what a lot of us pretended to do, daydreamed to do as kids in the backyard. To pretend that, we did in Little League or T-ball or at recess with our friends. He has a chance tonight to go out there and pitch in a do-or-die must-win situation game in your home crowd, in your stadium in front of your home crowd. I mean, you can't ask for anything more. If you're an athlete, if you're a player, you want that. You want the ball in that situation. I don't care if you're a rookie. I don't care if this is your first start. You're not going to shy away from that. Be like, oh, I'm nervous. I haven't done this before. Maybe I shouldn't be. No, you embrace that thing, man. This is what we dream about as kids, and they get to live it out. Gosh, that's got to be one of the coolest things. That's got to be one of the absolute coolest things to to experience. Man. But back to Tobias. He has easily been one of the brightest spots of this team, one of the best surprises of this team. And so far, at the first couple games, it's kind of been the youngsters leading us more so from the offensive side. Garrett obviously, Jackson Churio, Bryce Terang has had a nice couple games here too, especially from the offensive side. At the plate there. Hopefully that can continue. Him setting the table at the top of the order there, but overall, Tobias Myers, his final lines in the regular season 9-6, 27 games, started 25 of those, 9-6 with a 3.0 ERA, a whip of a 1.17. 138 innings pitched, 127 strikeouts. For a guy that kind of been around a little bit, bouncing around the league a little bit, got an opportunity with the Brewers due to some injuries. Okay, right? It was due to some injuries. And he has turned out to be somebody that I think we all hope that he's part of the part of the plans for the next few years in that rotation. He's a younger dude. Hopefully he's going to be part of that young rotation that I think we all have some high expectations for with the Brewers in the coming years. When you throw in Tobias, you throw in Robert Gasser. Eventually you'd think Jacob Mizorowski is going to be a part of that. Freddie Peralta probably for a couple more years. I think Aaron Ashby is probably going to be more of a bullpen guy, but maybe that changes down the road. But Tobias Myers has put himself into that equation. And he's got a chance tonight. He's got a chance tonight to, I think, take another step in his young career to really solidify his future with this team. Being a starter in this rotation for the long stretch. I'm excited to see the kid go out there. Sure, he's going to have some butterflies tonight. Sure, he's going to be a little bit nervous. But I think the biggest thing when it comes to Tobias, get through that first inning unscathed, kind of settle down a little bit, and then let it roll. And if it is a tight game, if it is a tight situation, don't let it get to you. Don't let it creep in your head. Just go do what you do. Be really nice if the offense obviously can help him out and spot him some runs early and maybe take a little bit of that pressure off. I got a feeling, though, tonight might be a low-scoring game. And I hope we won't have any more miscues that lead to extra outs. Because I have this feeling that could make the difference in tonight's game. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll switch it up just for a little bit. I do want to throw a little green and gold chat in. Packers returned to practice yesterday. We'll tell you who practiced, who didn't practice. Kind of looking at the rest of the week here too as they get set to face the Rams coming up on Sunday. Jayden Reed, maybe we knew he was having a good season, but again, maybe kind of flying a little bit under the radar in terms of how good he has began this season. We'll talk about that. Are you in the market to look for your first home? Has your family grown and maybe it's time to look for a bigger place to call home? Or maybe you're looking for that parcel of land for some hunting or maybe to build a cabin on in the future. Whether you're looking for a home or land to build on, you only need to visit one place to find just what you are looking for. That's Woods and Water Realty. The entire team at Woods and Water Realty is there to help you find that dream home of yours or that escape in the woods that you have been dreaming about. They will work with you to find just what you're looking for. Why wait any longer? Visit woodsandwater.com today. Woods and Water Realty also partners with us for the mobile man cave, joining the likes of Carpet City Flooring Center, Toyson Ford, our good friends at Toyson Ford, big supporters Toyson Ford, also partnering up with the Man Cave podcast over there. I know, speaking of Toyson Ford, Northwoods League. Eau Claire was hosting the Northwoods League meetings the last couple of days here too. So, big shout out to Toyson Ford for the support. It's also Carpet City Flooring Center, Toyson Ford, Woods and Water Realty, the Elbow Room over there too, and then Hy-Vee, all partners of the Mobile Man Cave. All right, switching gears just for a few minutes, but I still want to get your text, Brewers fans. Okay, give me some predictions too for the game tonight. Okay, give me your predictions. Do you think the Brewers pull it off? Or maybe you got to say, my heart says this, but my head says this. Or maybe the heart and the head are talking in the same language. But give me your predictions for the game tonight. Okay. Who do you see? And give me a key player. Like, give me a prediction in terms of a key player. Like, I just feel like tonight's going to be a Tobias night, or I feel like tonight's going to be a Willy Adames night. Like, give me a player to watch. Give me your key player for tonight. Like a prediction. Like my gut's telling me, Dan, that Sal Frelick's gonna have a night tonight. Or whoever it is. All right. Let's have some fun with that. Also, last call for any receiver deferred questions if you got any out there. Okay. Ryan Solo. So I want some good receiver deferred questions to get to here. But really quick, back to or getting to a little green and gold talk here this morning. Packers returned to practice yesterday to get set for their matchup against the Rams coming up this Sunday. They'll head out west, hit the West Coast, and go up against the Rams. Their injury report came out. Cooper Kupp already was reported a couple days ago. He's not going to be playing this weekend. We know Puka's not playing this weekend. So, the Rams are going to be missing their top two receivers there. But in terms of the Packers, Jair did not practice. Kenny Clark did not practice. Elton Jenkins did not practice. Luke Musgrave did not practice. Christian Watson, Devontae Wyatt also did not practice. Now, Elton Jenkins said he's good. He's good to go and such. But today will probably be the day, especially like the guys of Kenny Clark and Elton Jenkins and that. Today and tomorrow will be the days to kind of pay attention, see if they're out there. I mean, those guys are veterans, so we've seen it how many times before where they get those off days and such. Jordan Love was still listed as a limited participant, but he did tell the media yesterday that he came out of the game fine. He likes where his knee is at, and that he is getting all the one team reps. He's back to getting all the number one team reps. And really quick, too, Matt LaFleur also talking about Christian Watson says that he will not go on injured reserve. So there was some speculation at the beginning of the year or at the beginning of the week that he was going to go on IR because of a high ankle sprain. But you listen to Matt LaFleur and doesn't sound like that's going to be the case. Quote, I think we got lucky. We dodged a real bullet there. So that's kind of where everything's at. Devontae Wyatt, though, they're still waiting for more info to see if he will be as fortunate. That's something I want to talk to Dr. Crow about. We're talking on, that this was Wednesday yesterday. Those guys get analyzed and poked and prodded all the time. The injury happened on Sunday. Like, what other info would they be? I'm assuming like probably second opinions and such, but I don't know. So that's something I want to talk to Dr. Crow about here. So, but one thing I wanted to note, I actually wanted to talk about a couple of receivers. So all the talk all offseason surrounding the Packers was who's their number one? Who do they need a number one wide receiver? Who's their guy? And a lot of Packers fans, if not all, thought hey, we don't need a number one. And you listen to Jordan Love, you don't need a number one. Just, kind of spread the ball around. And I think that's ultimately probably the most ideal thing. But there was a part of me that kind of wondered, okay, would there be just kind of a natural separation between some of these receivers? And I don't know if we're quite there yet just through the first quarter of the season, but a couple of notes surrounding two of their second-year wide receivers I thought was kind of interesting. Now, again, whether you are a believer in Pro Football Focus, maybe you don't find this that interesting. I'm of the opinion that Pro Football Focus is, again, a tool, part of the toolbox. It's not necessarily the main tool. It's a part of the toolbox. It tells a little bit of the story, and you can use a little bit about it. But according to Pro Football Focus, Dontayvion Wicks leads the NFL in separation percentage among receivers with at least 25 opportunities. Wicks has created a separation on 23 out of 28 opportunities for a separation percentage of 82.14%. The next closest is Chris Olave from the Saints at 79.55%. So I was reading a little bit from this, and this is from PackersWire.com. You're part of USA Today. Apparently, this is the first season that Pro Football Focus has kept track of their separation percentage. A stat, quote, for determining which receivers are consistently getting open. And it says here the football analytics company states separation percentage measures how often a receiver beats the coverage to get open rather than benefiting from a defense more focused on limiting yards after the catch or stopping them short of the first down. Now, I think this is an interesting stat number. Again, it's in its first year. And really, how you're analyzing this, you're counting on somebody to watch the film and document it and keep tabs and all that. So, I mean, there's a human element to this. It's not like all computer stuff. But I think it's an interesting measurement stat because Dontayvion has constantly might be a little dramatic, consistently since last year been compared to Davante Adams in terms of like there's some similarities in their games. And one of them was the route running and kind of getting off the line of scrimmage. And I think this number, this stats, this measurable, whatever we want to phrase it as, is another example of that. That separation percentage. Davante is so good at getting off the line of scrimmage and creating that separation. His footwork, his basketball skills, I think, come into is a big part of that. Working on that footwork there. So I think this is another. I think that's a unique analytic number, analytic percentage. I think it needs to, be interesting to see it develop as the years go, since this is the first year of keeping track of this. But I thought that was like, for all the talk about Dontayvion Wicks being a similar receiver to a Davante Adams, that kind of plays into it. That narrative kind of plays into it, or that stat kind of plays into it a little bit. The other receiver, Jayden Reed. Now, if there was probably a guy that, if you had to say he's the number one receiver right now for the Packers, if we had to go out there, I'd probably pick Jayden Reed. And when you look at some of his numbers so far this season, he is 6th in the league in receiving yards, 336. 12th in average, 19.8. Remember, these were 2 games too with Malik Willis as his quarterback. And I honestly feel like Jayden Reed, and I know he's only in his second year, but even in his rookie year, you had this narrative that he's only a slot receiver, even though when he was at Michigan State, he played outside and inside. And it was almost kind of a knock on Jayden Reed that, oh, he's just a slot receiver. He's just a slot guy that he can't be a number one because he's a slot guy. Cooper Kupp plays a lot of the slot too. And in fact, when the Rams won the Super Bowl, Cooper Kupp played a lot of slot. And this is a guy that I think is probably your best Swiss Army knife that you can do a bunch of different stuff with within the offense. And in today's offenses, I think it's almost to me is like that negative label of a system quarterback. I think that gets labeled too much as a negative, and I think slot receiver now gets labeled too much, where some people feel like that's almost a knock on receivers, like, oh, that's all he could do is a slot. Sure, some smaller receivers are better in a slot. They're better, in the middle of the field, not as much on the boundary where you got to be a little bit bigger and kind of get up for those balls and contested catches and such. But Jayden Reed, when you factor in what he can do for, running game and involved in jet sweeps and all that, he's got 427 total yards from scrimmage. And according to Jacob Morley, the Packers are the only team in the NFL to have two players at this point in time with 375 plus yards, 375 or more yards from scrimmage this season. Jayden Reed at 427, Josh Jacobs at 381. And as Jacob continues to say, it was just the third time in team history that the Packers have had two players with 375 or more yards from scrimmage in their first four games. Dorsey Levens and Antonio Freeman, 1999. Ahman Green and Javon Walker in 04. But what Jayden Reed provides to this offense, he may not be a prototypical number one type of wide receiver that we all have in our minds, like a Devontae, like a Justin Jefferson. But what he does within this offense, the different things that he is able to do to accomplish, that to me should what define a number one wide receiver. What a wide receiver is. The more you can do within your offense, the more you can do to help out your offense. That to me is what defines a number one wideout. Couple texts here before we take a break for a little receiver defer. Steve from Eau Claire. I think Ortiz's third out line drive catch last night in the seventh was exactly the spark the Brewers needed. They looked like a totally different team after that, and I feel more confident about Myers tonight than I did about Frankie Montas last night. I went in last night deeply worried about our chances, but now I have a feeling tonight is our night. Another texter said, do you know the start time of the Brewer game tonight? I've seen two different times. We've mentioned it a few times. The start time for the game tonight is at 6:08. 6:08. That's around first pitch. Coverage begins. If you're listening to it on the radio dials, which why wouldn't you? At 5:30 at 105.1 FM, 790 AM. If the Padres would have lost, if the Braves would have won, then the game would have been an afternoon game. I think they said at 2:08, but since it's the only game on the docket, it's a night game tonight. 6:08 first pitch. Again, coverage 5:30. John from Eau Claire. Good morning, Dan. I think the Brewers will be playing Philly on Saturday. 5-2 win tonight. Rhys Hoskins and his handlebar mustache will be playing lights out tonight. I like it. All right, send me some, text me some receiver defer questions. All right, 715-830-1912. We'll take a quick break, and we'll wrap up the second hour with a little receiver defer coming at you after these quick words. It's fall in Wisconsin, which means we've got hunting season going on right now. And if you're a deer hunter, you may be wondering, hey, what do I do? Or where do I take my deer to get it processed, especially with the youth hunt coming up this weekend? Don't stress yourself out. Mike's Star Market is the premier place in the Chippewa Valley for your deer processing needs. You can visit Mike's Star Market at 2238 Heimstead Road to learn more about their deer processing, or go to their Facebook page too. Check them out on Facebook to see their pricing and options of different meats to get made. Deer hunting, long-standing tradition here in Wisconsin. And with Mike's Star Market, they know that tradition because they are deliberately old-fashioned to assure quality and affordability. And speaking of Mike's Star Markets, got to tell you again about this burger over at Princeton Valley Golf Course. Okay, for this month only. For this month only, it's the Packer Backer Burger. It's got burger patties and Oktoberfest brats from Mike's Star Market on this thing. If you go to Princeton Valley Golf Course's Facebook page, you're going to see a picture of this burger. Oh man, I got to go there and get one. I got to go over there and get one. The thing is, too, you're going to be able to potentially maybe get one for free. Listen tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning. All right. Brandon and I are going to give away one for you to potentially get one of these. I mean, you got it on a pretzel bun there too. Right. Wow. This looks amazing. This looks amazing. So excited to try it. With Mike's products on there, it's good. And if you, if you haven't had any food from Princeton Valley Golf Course too, it's going to be good too because Corey over there at Princeton Valley Golf, I mean the entire staff over there, they're awesome. They're awesome over there too. So shout out Corey over there at Princeton Valley Golf Course. Also, I want to give a shout out to our good buddy Service Master Clay. Clay from Service Master. He must have known that needed a little bit of a caffeine kick here this morning, late night last night watching that game because you can't go to bed right after a game like that. So just riding a little bit of sleep here. So big thanks for the caffeine kick. Clay actually just had Service Master over to the house and got the air ducts cleaned out from Service Master. So fantastic service over there, and we know Service Master. Big time supporters of Backyard Dreams. Always supporting Backyard Dreams. So we can't thank them enough. Good, awesome partners here on WAYY and Sports Talk 1051.com. And reminder, we want to help too with Backyard Dreams. Okay, if you know of anybody, or somebody, or maybe it's yourself or someone in your family that could just use little bit of help or something for paying for league fees, because we know some of those sports leagues, they can get expensive. Equipment, they can get expensive. We want to help out. Okay, just hit us up with an email. You can remain anonymous and all that. Or if somebody's like, man, their dream has always been to go to a Bucks game or something like that, just not able to do it. We want to help too. Okay, we want to help. That's what Backyard Dreams is for. More info, sportstalk1051.com, and just click on that Backyard Dreams tab over there. Let's do some receiver defer as we finish up the second hour. The second hour here this morning. Big thanks to everybody who sent over some receive or defer questions. Receive or defer. Well, I mean, the topic in the NFL right now is Davante Adams, and quite a few of you have had questions about it yesterday. So this one comes from Eric. Receiver defer. Davante Adams will be a Jet by the end of this month. So if you've been following along with this, the latest nugget, rumor, report, whatever you want to call out there, has been he prefers the Jets. And this was from Ian Rappaport. He would like to go to the Jets, but he's open to other situations. Yeah, it says Ian Rappaport, this was from earlier this morning. Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams wants to play for the Jets, sources say, but the All-Pro is open to landing with other teams, and he hasn't demanded to be traded anywhere specific. Vegas will take the best deal. Yesterday, I think the Saints were also listed as a team, which weird. Jets and Saints, Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers wants to go to a quarterback that he's familiar with. So Um, the thing is here, will the Raiders do what they did with the Khalil Mack trade? Now it's a different front office running this. But if you remember the whole Khalil Mack situation when they traded him to the Bears, that the report was that the Packers were in on it. Like I remember, I think even Randall Cobb said, like Randall Cobb went to bed that night thinking Khalil Mack was traded to the Packers. That's how close it was. But then the next day it ended up being the Bears. And the reason was the Raiders thought that the pick from the Bears, the draft pick compensation, would ultimately be better than what the Packers. So essentially what they were saying was they thought the Bears would be worse than the Packers, so they'd have a higher pick. So would the Raiders have, if it's truly that they want a second round pick, at least a second round pick, would they look at these list of teams and be like, okay, who has the potential? Who do we think is going to finish worst and have a higher second round pick? Because if they do, then I would think that takes away teams for sure, like the Chiefs. I still question whether they want to trade them within the division. I think the Chiefs, if the Chiefs are dead serious that they want to acquire Davante Adams, they're going to have to pay more than other teams. They're going to have to up the ante. They're going to have to build up that pot a little bit more. But that also brings in the Jets into play. If they feel like, okay, if Davante goes to the Jets, if they feel like that ultimately makes them, a deep playoff team, it's going to be a late second round pick. Whereas, okay, if you trade him to the Saints, yes, it probably helps them, but does it vault them into Super Bowl caliber type of team? So to me, that's the question here: is if they want at least a second round pick, and I'm sure probably have some other stuff under, will they do something similar to the Khalil Mack situation where, like, oh, we're going to pick the team that we think is going to have the best odds of getting that second round pick? And I know money is a factor into all this, but they can figure that stuff out. I I don't I think he's gonna end up being a Jet now. I think it's gonna happen. I'm gonna change my pick from yesterday. I'm gonna say receive. I'm gonna say receive. Especially I think a lot will tell us this weekend against Minnesota. If that offense continues to be a little lackluster, and I know Minnesota's defense has been really good this year. But if that offense continues to be a little lackluster, I think they get a little desperate at that point. So I will receive that. I will receive that. Receive or defer. Jackson Cheerio hits another home run tonight. Why not receive? Let's go. Let's get the kid another home run. That's a that's from Chris on our texting line. Sure, why not? Receive or defer. Tobias Myers goes at least 6 innings. I'm going to defer that. I'm going to defer that. I'll say between 4 and 5. I think they're going to keep with that same strategy that they've kind of employed in the first couple of games. I think that's where it's going to go. Could be completely wrong on that, but that's kind of where I'm seeing it. Receive or defer. Where did that one go? Because I wanted to bring this one up here. Receive or defer. The Brewers pitchers will have another error trying to get an out at the base. I'm going to defer that. I think they have a clean game in terms of pitchers fielding and trying to cover a base. I don't know if there's going to be a little extra PFP. Probably not. I mean, they did it on Monday apparently, PFP, but I don't know if they're doubling it up on some work and such. But I'm going to be optimistic. I'll be a little optimistic and say there will be no errors from pitchers tonight trying to make a play on the bag. Let's not, please. Let's not. Last one here because I've only got less than 2 minutes to the top of the hour here. Let's go to another Brewer one here. Receive or defer. This game will be a low scoring game or a high scoring game, and that's from Matt. Like I said a little bit earlier, I feel like this is going to be a low scoring game. So, I mean, I guess that's I'll receive the low scoring part if that's the best way to put it. It's kind of an either or pick. So I'm gonna. I feel like it's gonna be a low scoring game, like maybe like a 3-2-2-1 type of game, not like a 9-7 or something. I feel like the thing too is, this is for both these clubs. Are they gonna play a little tight? Are they gonna be a little tight to begin things? Which team's gonna be kind of loose and ready to go right away? That that might be a factor in this too, and who jumps out early. Mets a little bit more veterans over there. Brewers a little bit younger, but sometimes that plays to the benefit where they're like, hey, we're young, we're loose. What's this all about? Sort of thing. Maybe not kind of realize the moment there. What's the team that's going to play a little bit loose initially? Or both teams going to be pretty tight? Big thanks to for all of you who texted in for your receiver to first. Final hour coming up. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk. Continue to send me your predictions, peeps. Who do you got in tonight's game? Brewers, Mets. Who's going to continue? Who's going to go to Philly? Or who's going to go home? One more hour. We'll be back after these news updates. Final hour on this Thursday morning, a win or go home, a do or die Thursday for the Brew Crew. Game 3, final game of this series, coming at you tonight. You can listen to it on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Coverage again will begin at about 5:30, and first pitch will be around 6:08. Again, you can listen to the game on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Only on the radio too. Remember, Brewers, it's an MLB thing. Can't stream it on there. You gotta listen to it on the radio dials there. So, your predictions. What you got? Hit me up. Hit me up with a text. Okay, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. How you feeling about tonight's game? Question I kind of threw out there in the first hour. I'll revisit it right now, or just kind of throw it back out there in case you didn't get it a little bit earlier. So it sure seems like at least the plan, and maybe it's just a happy accident it's worked out this way, but it seems like the plan that the first 2 games here, for the starters, Pat Murphy and the Brewers have not allowed their starters to see that lineup, the Mets lineup, a third time through. That's when they've gone to their bullpen. So with Tobias Myers, a rookie, making his first career postseason start here, do you handle it the same way? Even if he's wheeling and dealing, say he's wheeling and dealing, do you keep him there, or do you go with the same game plan and just let him see the rotate, or let him see the lineup twice, and then go to your bullpen? It was pretty good last night. Go to your bullpen and take him out of that game. What would you do if you're Pat Murphy? MLB.com has 3 key storylines for tonight's game. Number 1 is Tobias Myers. And you look at the history, the career of Tobias Myers to see how it kind of started to where he's at now. As they note, 3 years ago, he was traded from Tampa to Cleveland. 2 years ago, he was designated for assignment by the Giants and then released by the White Sox. 1 year ago, he was in Double-A for the Brewers in Biloxi with over a 5 ERA. Now, he is in a win-or-go-home situation, the starting pitcher. And this year, he has been pretty darn good, especially in the second half. In his last 12 starts, this goes back to June, 2.86 ERA. That is to put it in perspective, in his last 12 starts, that 2.86 ERA, that's better than Skubal from the Tigers. That's better than Skubal from the Tigers. Just to put in a little bit of spread. That's not saying he's a better pitcher, but that's how well he has been pitching in his last 12 starts. So he doesn't, for the season, doesn't walk a whole lot of guys. He's in 138 innings this year. Just 36 walks. Just 36 walks. Is that something that will continue tonight? Or how much do those butterflies kind of come into play? We're all human. Even if you're a pro athlete, you're going to get nervous on that stage. Stadium's going to be pumped. I hope it's filled up, and I hope it is loud at AmFam Field. He strolls out there at the top of the first. You're going to have the rally towels going on. It's going to be loud, bullpen, butterflies, stomach churning a little bit. Hopefully, he will continue what he has done for the most part of the season and not issue any free passes. But what a moment for this rookie 26-year-old when you look at how his career has began in these last couple of years to the moment he is at. Said this a little bit earlier. This is what every kid dreams of. This is exactly what every kid dreams of, is a moment like this. And Tobias Myers has that chance to do that tonight. The second storyline they have listed on here is, will the Mets let Jackson Chourio keep beating them? First of all, again, to have that as a storyline for a 20-year-old, I think says something here. But as it says here, Chourio is the best thing that the Brewers have going in their lineup. He has 2 of the 3 Brewers homers this series. He is hitting .500. Combined, he and Bryce Turang have 9 of the Brewers' 19 total hits this series. You have to wonder, it says, you have to wonder if the Mets are going to start pitching around Chourio, even with Blake Perkins, who was 2 for 3, and Contreras behind him. Chourio is a transcendent talent who is clearly writing the first incredible chapter of an incredible career this very series. The Mets may be wise to not give him the opportunity to write anymore. If that is the case tonight, the Mets don't allow Jackson Chourio to beat them, where they're going to pitch around him. All right, Contreras. All right, Willie. All right, Garrett Mitchell. Garrett Mitchell gets Garrett Mitchell probably won't get starts. Might be Blake Perkins because it's Quintana on the mound. He's a lefty, so it's probably going to be a similar lineup to last night. It's going to be, they're exactly right. If Chourio is that leadoff hitter again, it's going to be the Blake Perkins behind him. It's going to be Contreras. It's going to be Willie. And let's go Rhys Hoskins. Okay? Let's go Rhys Hoskins. I want the veterans in this game tonight. I want the veterans to say, it's time for us to step it up. The kids have been doing it. The youngsters have been doing it. Turang's been doing it. Chourio's obviously been doing it. Garrett Mitchell's been doing it. I want to see, all right, it's now our time. You got us here to game 3. Now it's up to us veterans. Time to fill up and take our part in this. And the third key they got in there, is there a Pete Alonso moment coming? Remember Pete Alonso, there was a rumor, one of those rumors at the trade deadline was, would the Brewers acquire Pete Alonso out there? So, asked our good buddy Brandon, who he'll be on tomorrow, but I asked him, what's Brandon's keys to victory in this? Again, Brandon's probably my go-to Brewers guy. Patient at-bats early, run up the pitch count on Quintana. Solid defense, aggressive base running. 3 things they've done throughout the season. Dance with what brought you. Dance with what brought you. I love that line from Brandon. Solid defense, patient at-bats, run up that pitch count, and aggressive base running. Remember, the Brewers were aggressive that last regular season series against the Mets on the base paths. They were running all over the place on them. And Garrett Mitchell got thrown out last night trying to steal a base over there. But I think they got to continue. And that's something that the Brewers have done pretty much all year long, is that they've stayed true to what they want to do. They've stayed true to what they do well. And I agree. I hope we see that. Kind of that line that Brandon said, dance with what got you there. I agree with that. I think, to me, the deciding factor, or one of the deciding factors in tonight's game, though, is going to be, well, a couple things. The errors. I think an error, couple errors, it's kind of like turnovers in football, but I feel like a couple errors could maybe determine the outcome of the game. And luckily, the Brewers' error last night, they were able to overcome it late. They were not able to do that in the first game. But it might take just that one big play, whether it's a big home run, whether it's a big, double play, a big strikeout with bases loaded, might take that one big moment. Like what team is going to come out more relaxed, more loose, more focused, and maybe not as nervous? But man, I cannot wait for tonight's game. When's the countdown? Can we start tailgating now? We're less than 10 hours now, finally. Mike, good morning, Dan. This is Mike. Great show this morning. You're right on with the Brewers lineup. I'm just going to make a bold prediction that our rookie phenom, Tobias Myers, will pitch 6 shutout innings. I'm really curious to see how the pitching goes tonight. How Pat Murphy manages that or manages the pitching. And you look at Tobias. So let's bring up what Tobias has kind of done throughout this year in terms of innings. He hasn't gone too deep in a lot of these games in his rookie year here. So maybe that's a factor into what Pat Murphy is going to do here. Trying to load it up here. We know in his last game against the Mets back on the 28th, he pitched 4 innings. It was 4 innings before that against Pittsburgh, 4 innings against Arizona on the 19th, 6, 5 2/3, 5, 4, 5 2/3. Yeah, it was that Cincinnati game back on August 10th when he went 7 1/3. July against Pittsburgh, he did throw 8. But you're looking about 5, I would say. 4, 5. I think that's probably what you're going to see tonight. But hey, if he's wheeling and dealing, like Mike says here, maybe he does go through 6 or get to 6. Give me a key player. Give me a player. Give me a prediction that you think is going to go out there and maybe carry the team on the back, going to have a breakout game, going to have a great game and lead their team to victory. Is it Tobias? Got a Tobias pick. Is it Reese? We've had a Reese pick. Is it somebody else? What do you got? All right. We'll talk some more Brewers coming up here. Give me your predictions for the game though too. Text me 715-830-1912. We'll take a quick break and get back into it fully. Or what else is on your mind too? What else is on your mind? Hit me up with a text. Back in just a couple minutes. As the old phrase goes, you look good and you play good. Well, if you're a sports team or a league like a youth league, listen up, because if you need some new jerseys or apparel for your team or your league, you don't have to look too far for help, because Resonance Branding Company is right in your own backyard. From jerseys, pants, maybe some b-ball shorts or other gear to help you perform and look your best on the field or court, Resonance Branding Company will work with you to get just what you need. They will even help you set up an online store so your fans can purchase some merchandise. Just visit resonancebRandingCompany.com to get started. And remember, look good, play good. Also, want to remind you too, if it's that time of year, we're in fall, right? We're getting there. Don't want to say that W word, but it's going to be coming up here soon, which means that you want to get your vehicle ready, especially tires with road conditions and such. And that's where you want to make your appointment and visit our good friends at ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire. Not only is ASAP Used Auto Parts your go-to place for high quality used auto parts to save you some money over there, but they're your place for some new tires and also oil changes. So if you're in your vehicle and you see that sticker in the top left corner where it's like, oh man, I'm due for an oil change, go get that appointment made over at ASAP Used Auto Parts. All right, help your vehicle perform better, especially with winter coming up. Stick with the locally owned and operated business and ASAP Used Auto Parts, located at 1330 Menominee Street in Eau Claire. I know it wasn't Euchre last night, but Jeff Levering pretty darn good on the radio call last night too. Fly. There you go, Jeff Levering's call on the Brewers Radio Network. If you were listening to our game last night on the radio dials, you probably heard that. Live last night. Guy, I still got goosebumps listening to that, man. I still got goosebumps. God, I love sports when it's like that. Ooh, hate it when you're on the losing end of games like that, but you absolutely love it when you're on the winning end there. We got David. Crew wins 6-5. Double stamp it. No erases. Love it. Love it. John saying that William Contreras' catching gear last night was so clean looking. I know what you mean, man. So, I've been looking for some bold, not necessarily bold predictions, just predictions on who you think is going to have that night tonight. Who's going to have that night tonight, like Jackson Cheerio had last night, like Garrett Mitchell had last night? Who is going to be that man? We've gotten a couple of Contreras picks. We've gotten a few Adames picks. We've gotten a few Hoskins picks over there as well. And then, of course, we've gotten a couple of Tobias Myers picks going on the defense side, going on the pitching side over there. So keep those coming along with your predictions. And I know a couple of you mentioned that you're actually a little bit more confident in tonight's game than you were last night. And I'll be honest, like, yeah, I was really nervous about the game last night. I was very nervous about it. I didn't really know what to expect from Frankie Montas in the game. Um, And then, one run in the first and then a couple more after the air. And I was like, oh, crap. So I understand where a lot of you are coming from when you said that, you were pretty nervous yesterday because I was the same exact way. And I'm still nervous tonight because I mean, well, one, it's game 3, it's the final game. You're going to be nervous about it. Two, it's a little bit unknown with Tobias. I mean, he's been great in the second half. Since June, he's been awesome. But he's still a rookie, right? And he's still a rookie. It seems fitting after all of these years that it's Quintana that's getting the starts against the Brewers in this third and final game. That's the net that shouldn't be surprised that it's him that he's getting the start to try to end the Brewer season. The guy that, especially when he was with the Cubs, would always get the starts against the Brewers. Whenever it was Cubs Brewers, got to throw out Jose to get there. And for a long time, Jose had the Brewers number. That's changed a little bit. It's changed a little bit, but we'll see if it's going to be the veteran in Quintana or Tobias that's going to have the advantage tonight. Tim in the Cooley region, Turang and Myers. It's going with Turang and Myers tonight. David is going with Willie Adames, having a breakout game. We've got Matthew picking Contreras right now to have that game. Keep them coming, along with your game predictions too. If you want to paint it out how it's going to go. Walk-off home run. Is it going to be a close game? Is it going to be a dominating game? All right. Get out your euchre balls, get out your crystal balls, your magic 8 balls, and let me know how you think this one's going to flow here. James on our YouTube. James, hey, go hang out with James. James been hanging out on the video stream on YouTube all morning long. Tonight's game, drinking the Kool-Aid. Brewers take last night's momentum and blow out the Mets tonight. It is the only game on the schedule tonight, too, because, well, everybody else swept yesterday. The Tigers going to Houston, putting up some runs against Josh Hader, former Brewer. We know Josh Hader, but maybe you were watching it a little bit yesterday afternoon at work or whatever. I don't know. But Detroit's 5-2 victory against Houston. They move on. You got Kansas City picking up a 2-1 victory over Baltimore. So Kansas City moves on. And then San Diego holding off Atlanta. Atlanta tried to make it close there at the end. Well, they did make it close at the end there. But San Diego holding on, and they also move on here. So if you're looking at the schedule, just to kind of give you an idea of where things stand right now, Saturday, no games tomorrow. So we're going to have some divisional games coming up on Saturday. So just to kind of plan out your day here, all right? Detroit will visit Cleveland. That's the first game on Saturday. Game 1, 12:08. If the Brewers win, schedule your Saturday for a 3:08 pitch time, it looks like. Brewers at Philly. Kansas City versus the Yankees will be at 5:38. And San Diego taking on the Dodgers at 7:38. As it stands right now, Sunday might have to be a double TV day or TV radio day, okay? Because as of right now, 3:08 first pitch between for that NLDS game 2. If the Brewers win, it'd be at Philadelphia. So that's going to be a put the Packer game on TV, listen to the Brewer game on the radio there, but gonna have to double it up somehow on Sunday as of right now, unless they adjust it and change it, which they have before. But just to kind of pre-plan what maybe your Sunday could look like. Don't want to get too far ahead because we got to win tonight first, but just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea there. Okay, so that's where things stand at this point. I'll make my pick coming up in our picks and predicts, but I don't think I've seen anybody pick the Mets so far. So let's go, Crew. Anybody else wearing the Brewers swag out here too. So love it. I know somebody had texted a little bit earlier. I did see this graphic about the Tigers wild card roster. It was like 18.8 million. I saw this last night. And Josh Hader is making 19 million this year. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that late last night on social media and such. So, okay. Got a couple more keys to victory here. This is from Ben. Ben said, my key to victory tonight is going to be who's the team that jumps out to an early lead. I think the team that jumps out to an early lead is going to be the team that ends up winning this ball game. Hopefully, it's the Brewers. Another key to victory. It looks like here from well, I don't have a name for this texter, but key to victory from this texter says, whoever makes the fewest amount of mistakes in this high pressure situation will ultimately be the team that will move on to face the Phillies. More picks coming in for their players to watch tonight. Looks like Rhys Hoskins is kind of becoming a popular pick. And I get it. I understand. I mean, I think we're all kind of waiting a little bit here for some of those veterans to maybe get to the level that the youngsters have been so far. I know Contreras had the RBI in game one, right? Started it off there. But since then, I mean, it's been pretty quiet for Willy Adames. It's been pretty quiet. Willy Adames, don't want to diminish the hit that Willie had last night because, yes, it's just a single. But in that situation, 2 outs to get on base for Garrett Mitchell, huge. But I think maybe we're looking for that Rhys Hoskins dinger or a Willy Adames home run or something like that, right? Where we're just kind of waiting for that. But going back to that 8th inning last night too, I think I don't think I was the only one thinking this too. It's like, okay, you got the top of the lineup here. If we're gonna do this, it's got to happen now. It's got to happen with the top of the order, and it did. Chourio did it, tied it up. Blake Perkins, solid night last night. Couple hits from him. Contreras rolls into a double play. Willie gets on with the big hits, the single, and then Garrett Mitchell. The top of the lineup came through. If it was going to happen last night, it had to come from that top in that 8th. And they pulled through and they got the job done. And I know, and rightfully so, Garrett Mitchell and Jackson Chourio are getting a lot of the talk this morning. They will continue to get a lot of the love and the talk throughout the day, and they absolutely deserve it. But the way Brice Turang has played in these couple games here too, don't forget about how well he has played, especially yesterday, when you got a lefty on the mound as a starter, he's at the bottom of the lineup. That was a big hit last night, painting the line to get on. And the dude has been aggressive on the bases. I mean, some of those hits for a normal guy is probably a single. Turang is stretching them into doubles. Utilizing that speed and being aggressive on the base pass. That hit and him getting to second, that was a big one last night just to cut that lead from 3-1 to 3-2. So Brice Turang is and he was a guy too leading into the postseason. We talked about it. He was a guy that some people were kind of sort of like, okay, we need Turang to really kind of step it up and be a threat to play because he was kind of trending downward. There was that graph we talked about last week. And it was kind of going down. But in these 2 games, he's been pretty good. And I don't think we should overlook that. And hopefully he can do it again tonight, assuming he will be batting at the bottom of the order again like they normally have done with Turang going up against a lefty. So I just see Adam McCulvey and the Mets writer kind of going back and forth. Looks like the same lineup. His prediction is going to be like a same lineup as it was yesterday over there, which makes sense. It makes sense. So, yeah, it says here Brewers veterans Adames and Hoskins are a combined 1 for 14 in the series. Though Adames' 2-out, 2-strike single in the 8th inning of Game 2 was huge because it, as we just said, allowed Garrett Mitchell to go up there. Cheerios 4 for 8 with his first 2 postseason home runs. Turang is 5 for 8, making him the 6th Brewer to have 5+ hits in a 2-game span in the postseason. And get this, the first since Eric Kratz did it in 2018. Little nugget, only 2 wild card series have gone to a decisive Game 3 since Major League Baseball moved to its current format in 2022, and the Mets have been involved in both, losing in 2022 to the Padres. Little fun nugget there. Richie wore my Turang jersey yesterday. We're in Mitchell today. Tobias is going to be big in a win today. Good to hear from you again, Richie. Hope all is well, bud. Ron, key to victory. Whoever sends more runners across the plate will win. That's a couch coach right there, man. My pick, the Crew. Let's go. Another texter here saying Sal Frelick, multiple extra base hits tonight. We should. Here's the thing, too. I'm glad you brought up. I don't know who this texter is, so I can't. Unknown texter here. Sal Frelick wasn't supposed to be playing in this series. It sure sounded like that he wasn't going to be playing in the series, suffering that hip injury, going into the wall. I mean, from everything that we were being fed and everything that we were being told, he wasn't going to be playing in this series. He had the workout on Monday, and then he makes the wild card roster, and he's made both of these starts. He's collected a couple of hits in this series. We know about his speed in the defense to kind of have that reassurance there. He's not a power guy by any means. But for Sal Frelick to be out there and playing when it was kind of thought he wasn't going to be out there, then you're like, oh man, okay, Colin's going to be out there. Do you kind of now, is it just Blake Perkins out there regardless if it's a lefty or a righty on the mound? It's Perkins and Garrett Mitchell. I mean, that's defensively, that's a really good outfield, but it kind of affects your offensive lineup too. So tip of the cap to Sal Frelick for being ready and being able to go out there and play. And I think he's playing at a high level too. You don't really see that hip injury affecting him too much. I mean, dude is still beating it down the first baseline on some ground balls. Still trying to beeline on it. I love how, like, these youngsters too. I know there was some criticism from Contreras last night on that doubleheader or the on the one ground out that he wasn't hustling up the line there. And I honestly kind of thought that too. But you don't see that with like Turang and Frelick and those guys. Like, they're just like, especially Frelick. Frelick is like 100 miles per hour every single time he's going down there. And I love that style of play. I love it. All right, let's take our break and final call for picks. Who do you got? Okay. Final call. How do you see this game playing out tonight? Go on record. Go on record, you chickens. Who do you got? We'll be back in just a few minutes. for staying in tonight to enjoy the game. Maybe head on over to our good friends at Hy-Vee to load up on some Dan Good burgers to put on the grill. Pick up a 6-pack of Man Cave Light over there too, and enjoy a little baseball tonight, and hopefully top it off with a victory scotch afterwards for game 3 here. So I know you guys are probably getting annoyed that I keep saying this, but tonight's game, 6:08. You can listen to it on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Coverage will begin on those radio dials at 5:30, around 5:30. So that's your last reminder here this morning. We've got Richie. It's one of my knocks on Contreras. He rarely runs hard on those ground balls. So it looks like Keith's going 5-2 for the Brewers. 5-2 for the Brewers. All right, let's do some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room, located right here in Eau Claire, right next to the Banbury Place in Eau Claire. Also, don't forget to get your picks in for our Pro Football Weekly Pick'em Challenge. For our Pro Football Weekly Pick'em Challenge, go to our website, sportstalk1051.com. Click on the Fan Cave tab. You know the drill. We got Thursday Night Football also tonight, so that's why you got to get your picks in tonight. Okay, 2 nights. Tampa Bay 3-1, visiting the Atlanta Falcons, who are 2-2 right now. Not a bad Thursday night game. I won't be watching it because I'll be paying attention to the Brewers. But Atlanta is favored by 2. Boy. I'm gonna go Tampa. Tampa's surprising me this year, so I'm gonna go Tampa. I'm not confident in that though. All right. The only baseball game on the docket. The only baseball game on the docket here this morning. Or for today. Brewers, Mets. Tobias, Jose. Who we rolling with? I hope AmFam Field is packed to the gills right away. If you are going to the game, be loud as you can be. If our buddy Brandon goes, Brandon better be in here tomorrow morning with no voice because he better be loud. Okay. Bee's mom, if you're going, better be loud. Make that. I mean, I've been to a do or die game in Milwaukee. It's still the most memorable game, still one of the loudest, most tense environments I've been at. I'd throw that up there with Favre returning to Green Bay. I'm rolling with the Brewers. I'm going to go 5-3 Brewers. Same score as last night. I'm going to go 5-3 Brewers. Going to do it. And we get to talk about a victory Friday tomorrow and look ahead to their series against the Philadelphia Phillies. Let's go. It's time that we win a series. It's time that we get back to advancing in these postseasons, getting to the NLDS. As Pat Murphy and the Brewers, their mindset has been all season long, win tonight. Win tonight. Win tonight. So, C-Bomb says, how bummed do you think Yelich is that he can't be out there? I think Yelich is, I'm sure he's probably disappointed. I mean, that's natural, right? I mean, put yourself in that position. Yeah, he's a player. He wants to be out there. But I think he's going about it the right way, though, too. I mean, he's at the top step of the dugout. He's on social media, putting up videos, getting the team pumped, being a leader any way. The thing is like all those guys, whether it's Brandon Woodruff, who couldn't play this year, he's involved. Wade Miley's got his spot. You see it if you watch games or anything like that. He's always in the same spot, right leading into the dugout up there. Wade Miley's always there. These guys, these veterans, have stayed with the team, been involved with the team, and helping them out, and kind of been the almost pseudo coaches, if you will, and managers and stuff. So, yeah, he's bummed. but it's not like he's not going to be kind of a sourpuss about it. It'd be like, oh, no, he's probably like any other person. Disappointed he's not out there, but hey, cheering on his boys out there too. Let's go, Crew. Oh, I don't know if I can sit here and wait for 9 more hours for the game tonight. A few more picks coming in here. Predictions. We've got a 4-2 victory prediction for the Brewers. We've got a 6-1 victory for the Brewers. We've got a 2-1 victory for the Brewers. We've got a 3-1 victory for the Brewers. We've got a 4-2 victory again for the Brewers. A couple players here. I think this is from Tim. Tim says he wants Rhys Hoskins to have a game tonight, at least a home run from him. We've got another Aaron saying this is a Willy Adames game tonight. I think he has a homer and a couple of base hits. We've got a Contreras pick. I think Contreras has himself a couple hits tonight with a few RBIs, says Mike. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it's going to be any of the veterans night. After last night, it was 2 youngsters with Cheerio and Garrett Mitchell. Will it be a Rhys Hoskins? Will it be a Willy Adames? Will it be one of those other guys out there? How well will Tobias Myers? It's kind of 50-50 so far, it seems like, from a lot of you. When we asked that question the first hour, if we rewind it all the way back to the first hour, how would you handle the pitching situation? Because it seems like in the first couple of games, the mindset has kind of been for Pat Murphy and his team not to see their starter face the lineup a third time. That as soon as they've gone through that second lineup, they go to the pen. We heard him talk about that was part of the decision with Freddie. Saw it last night with Frankie. You've got a rookie making a start tonight, his first career start in the postseason. Is that the same mindset? Or if he's wheeling and dealing, do you let him stay there? It's kind of 50-50. Some of you saying go to the pen, don't let him see the third time. Some of you saying if he's wheeling and dealing, keep him in there. All right, so that's essentially no majority one way or the other. All right, other things too. Packers will be back at practice today. We'll probably get a better idea. Some of those veterans who sat out yesterday, like Kenny Clark and Elton Jenkins. Today and tomorrow will be a better idea to see if they get back in action. Maybe even Jair Alexander. Although, they'll say that they're not doing this. I wouldn't be surprised if they sent him out another week because of no Cooper and no Puka over there. So, but hey, maybe we could be wrong and maybe we'll see that over there. So, but they'll be back at practice today as they get set for their game against the Rams coming up on Sunday. Again, reminder, if the Brewers win tonight, you're going to have to double it up on Sunday. Watch the Packers and listen to the Brewers on the radio over there, because it's going to be pretty close to the same game times. So, what else did we talk about over there? Yeah, we talked about that. We talked about the other teams from baseball. It's the only game today because everybody else swept. Tigers moving on. Their hot streak continues. Royals moving on, taking down Baltimore. Now Baltimore's got an interesting offseason coming ahead with Corbin Burns. They got a couple youngsters over there too, Gunnar and Holiday and such. But what about Corbin Burns? They made that deal to try to go for it this year, and they didn't even win a playoff game. Although Corbin, give him credit, pitched 9 innings in game one, allowed 1 earned run, they lost. So, but Baltimore's out, Kansas City moves on, and then San Diego moves on. San Diego with the Dodgers. That should be a fun playoff series coming up. That should be an interesting one. Division rivals going at it. Can San Diego continue their hot streak? Shohei's first time in the postseason too in October. We'll see that for the first time this weekend. So those teams moving on over there, because we already know the divisional schedule. If you want, you can look it up. I went through it a little bit earlier, but games will start on Saturday. Then we have a couple on Sunday, and Brewers would play Sunday if they win tonight. They'd play Saturday and Sunday. They have a 3:08 game time for Sunday. Maybe they adjust it. Maybe they change it depending on Packers and that. I don't know. It's baseball playoffs, so but they've done it before. We'll see if that happens. All right, coming up tomorrow, we'll have a busy day. Hopefully, we're talking about a win. Hopefully, we're running on fumes because we're celebrating a win from tonight's game. Hopefully, we're talking about that. We'll talk about it with Brandon. We'll do a little local sports roundup with him tomorrow as well. As believe it or not, we're starting to inch closer and closer to the end of the regular season for prep football. So we'll hit that up. Blue Gold football is going to be back in action. They begin WIAC play. Stout does too. So fall sports fully underway. Getting into conference play here at the college level here too. So we'll talk about that. Hopefully we'll catch up with Dr. Crow. I got to talk to him about Christian McCaffrey. Apparently he's got tendonitis in both of his tendons or both of his Achilles. Tendonitis in both of those things. So we'll hit that up. We'll talk about that with Dr. Crow. Cream of the Crop also coming up tomorrow. It is a football Friday, but and we'll preview Packers and Rams and such. Depending on how tonight goes, maybe a little bit more football because maybe nobody wants to talk about baseball and just give it a little bit of a mourning period over there. But we'll see how it all plays out here. But definitely we'll be talking about keys to victory, key matchups, and predictions for that too. So there you have it. Big thanks everybody who texted in here this morning. Go Crew! Let's go Brewers! Bring it home. I want the season to continue. Get the W tonight so we can talk about this divisional series against the Phillies. Have a good day, peeps. Talk to you tomorrow morning.